If you want a happy life here in Italy, whatever stage of the journey you're at, whether you're in the throes of planning or you've just set up your life here, there are 5 things that you're going to want to avoid saying if you don't want to sabotage your experience. I should know because I've been living here in South Italy for 7 years. At points, I've been guilty of saying some of these things, and I can tell you the consequences weren't fantastic. And I've also seen other people say some of these expressions and, in a way, ruin the life that they have in this country, especially with what I'm going to say, number 3. Number 3 has the absolute potential to completely sabotage your dream here. So don't say I didn't warn you. But let's begin with the first thing that you need to stop saying if you want to have a happy life here in Italy. And it's difficult. Now, I get it. Like, life here in Italy is not easy. There are many things that you have to get used to, many aspects of life that seem really complicated. However, if you keep verbalizing that in the form of saying that it is difficult, words have a funny way of becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. And before you know it, what you're talking about is the very thing that you are experiencing. Have you ever noticed that in life, when you continuously say that something is difficult, it usually remains that way? It's usually because your brain is wired to look for evidence to back up what it is that you believe about something. So if you are saying that something is difficult, your brain is then on this hunt for all of the evidence to prove that what you're saying is true, which is why it can be a bit of a slippery slope if you keep verbalizing the struggles that you're facing in this country. Now, I'm not saying that you should gloss over them and not talk about them. We all know that's a really, really unhealthy way to behave. But there are things that you can do to reframe the difficulties that you may face in this country. First of all, you might want to say, for example, this is challenging, but I can learn something from it. Now, the way that you're doing it there is you're addressing the fact that the situation is challenging because you need to accept it for what it is before you can do something about it. However, you're reframing it to say that you can learn something from it. If it's bureaucracy, maybe you finally get to understand the way the systems work here. It might take a bit of time, but at some point you'll become more familiar with the way things work here. It might be that you learn something about yourself and your character and the way that you approach situations. I really believe that in every aspect of life, you can take some learning from it if you have this kind of mindset and approach to situations. So the next time things just feel that little bit tough, don't say it's difficult. Instead, focus on what you can gain from that situation. Words are like wands, as I've heard quoted many a time, and it is true. They can either empower you or disempower you. So if you want to have a happy life here in Italy, you've got to be leaning more into the empowerment aspect, and you need to be reframing the struggles that you're facing into something that can feel a bit more manageable for you to deal with, but also something that can make you feel a little bit more comfortable in your situation. Difficulty, saying that things are hard, none of that makes you feel good. And if you're setting up your life here in Italy and you really want to make it happen, you've got to start reframing this expression. Because if you don't, there's a high probability that you may not make it here to this country in the first place, or if you do, that you're not really going to enjoy the experience very much. The second thing that you're going to want to avoid saying is, what do you think? Oh, this question is like opening a big can of worms. The minute we ask another person what they think about an idea that we have, about a dream that we have, or about something that we want to do, we allow that person to offload their own personal experiences, beliefs, and blocks at times to do with what you are talking about. And here's where it can be dangerous, because this happens a lot at the very early stages. When you start to share your dream of moving to Italy with those around you, sometimes you might turn to people and say, well, what do you think about this idea? And the problem there is that at that early stage, you are not necessarily certain 100% that this is what you want to do. And you are often asking other people as a way to kind of validate your decision. But other people have their own lives, their own minds, and their own experiences that they draw from whenever they give you their opinion about something. And so if you are in that kind of impressionable stage where you're really listening to what people are saying to you, but you're not hearing very positive things about your decision to move to Italy, that is when you could be at risk of giving up on your dream. It's the same even when you start living here in this country. Saying to people, what do you think, invites all of their opinions and sometimes criticism and sometimes unwanted comments as well. And I just think sometimes that advice, in whichever way it is delivered, is usually in a way a form of judgment on that other person, and it's wrapped up in a bow under the guise of advice. So just be really, really careful with this. It's okay to ask people for their opinions about things. I'm not saying that you shouldn't discuss your idea, but before you start reaching out to other people, do as much work as you can on your own, first of all. Try to understand for yourself whether moving to Italy is the right decision if you're in those early stages, or try to discover yourself if what you want to do, if you're already here, could be the right thing for you before you start inviting other people to leave their comments and at times judgment. You have to be so careful with this, which is why I really think sometimes it's better to avoid asking this question at all times, because especially if you speak to the wrong people, you may end up going down a path that you hadn't really wanted to go down because you allowed yourself to be influenced by what other people had to say. A lot of people here in Italy have had negative experiences in this country in many different ways, shapes and forms. But the point that you must always remember is that everyone's experience is their own. The negative things that I was told back in 2018 never materialised for me. Yet if I had listened to those when I sort of asked people what they thought about my decision, I could very well have not arrived in this country in the first place. I have been guilty of asking too many people what they think too many times, and that's why I'm here telling you that it doesn't work, it doesn't help, and it just makes you feel sometimes like you're making the wrong decision when what could be a wrong decision for somebody else is really and truly the right decision for you. The third thing you're going to want to avoid saying is, in my country. This is funny because a lot of people do this, myself included. But the problem with this is that when you start saying in my country, you open yourself up to comparison, and comparison is a slippery slope. Now, I'm not saying that you can never talk about the country that you come from and you can never kind of compare and contrast life. I'm not saying this at all. But the problem is that we start to get into a bit of a habit with it. Oh, in my country, it's not like this. Oh, in my country, it's more efficient. Oh, in my country, it looks like this and not that. And those kinds of conversations that you're having are negative comparisons. And we all know that negative comparisons do not take us to where we want to go and ultimately do not make us have a very good experience. If you are living here in Italy and day in, day out, you are constantly saying, in my country, I can guarantee you that you are not having a very good time in this place. You are not enjoying Italy. You are not embracing life here. You are literally going through the motions, but your mind and one foot is always back in the country that you've come from. But you're here, you're living in Italy. This is the biggest mistake I see so many people make in these online expat forums, is constantly compare their life in Italy to their life in their country. Oh, well, in my country, I can buy this, but in Italy, I can't. Oh, but in my country, the systems operate like this, but in Italy, they don't. Forget the comparison. Forget in my country. In my country is right here, right now in Italy, okay? This is where you are. So you need to bring yourself to the present moment and you need to be accepting the way life is here. You don't have to agree with the way things work here. I'm not saying that, but you do have to accept the way processes are here, because negative comparisons are always going to leave you feeling really shitty and also not improve your current situation in any way, shape or form. This is the one expression out of all of these 5 that I'm sharing with you today that I think has the most potential to sabotage your life here, because those comparisons eventually eat away at you, and before you know it, you're like rose-tinted glasses looking back, reminiscing on your old life and perhaps even contemplating moving back. You moved out of your country for a reason. Never forget that. Hold on to that reason, because it's that keeps you here. Everything else, all the other things that are different, embrace them. If you wanted the exact same life, I don't think you would have moved to Italy, because we all know Italy is not a cookie cutter version of any other country. It is its own country, many different countries rolled into one, I might add, with its own culture, customs, beliefs, values, way of life. So just remember that next time you are so tempted to say in my country, really think about why you're saying it. If it's because you want to make any kind of a negative comparison, then really and truly stop. The fourth thing you're going to want to avoid saying is I'll try. Oh, I really don't know why the word try exists, to be honest with you, because it's a word for me that lacks any kind of strength or substance. When somebody says they will try to do something, it's such a meek way of talking about taking action that you kind of realize that there's no real certainty it's ever going to happen. I'm one of those people that I will do something or I won't do something. For me, try is like sitting on the fence. You're not willing to commit either way. It's just a simple expression to make people believe that maybe you'll consider it one day. If there is something that you want to do here in Italy, learn the language, socialize more, make the move happen in the first place, do not say this expression, because I'll try doesn't give you any kind of impetus or any kind of motivation to make it happen. If you say, I am going to do this, I will do this, that feels so strong and powerful that chances are you will follow through on whatever it is that you want to do. Avoid try, because I really think it is a word that doesn't really have any meaning at all. It may as well be a filler word. Make a commitment. If you want to move to Italy, but I'll try to make it happen. I'll see. This is another variation of try. I'll see. Start getting real with yourself. Do you want it or don't you want it? Because it's really one of those two camps. If you're here in Italy and you are second guessing your decision, or you want to do something here in Italy, but you're not sure, sit with yourself. Do you want to do it and why? Do you not want to do it and why? It's this. You've just got to be real. Get off the fence and make a decision. It's as simple as this. Try and let's see. Those things don't mean anything at all. And it's far better that you don't speak, I think, in those moments if you prefer to use those terms. I have been guilty of it so many times, especially with my Italian language learning. Oh my goodness, at the beginning, I'll try to study after work. Did I study? Absolutely not, because I didn't have the conviction. Have the conviction in what it is that you want to do. Either it's a yes or it's a no, but avoid the words try and let's see, because they really don't mean anything at all. And the fifth thing that you're going to want to avoid saying is, I don't need to change. Change is a funny thing. I see a lot of people resist change. They feel that change is something that not everybody has to experience or to go through. But I'm of the mindset that change is inevitable if you fully embrace life here in Italy. I think it's almost impossible that even the tiniest aspect of your life doesn't undergo any kind of change when you move here to Italy. If you are really trying to replicate and keep yourself exactly the same and keep all aspects of your life exactly the same, I think that you are missing out on something really magical, because life here in Italy will shape you, will teach you new things. You may even become a better person on the back of having lived in this country. But if you're trying to maintain the version of yourself that you've always known, you close yourself off to all of that. Change is something that I think when you embrace life here, you will experience it in different degrees. Some people change more than others. Some people make a complete radical life transformation and their lives look so different to how they looked when they first moved here. Other people change certain aspects of their life, maybe their diet, maybe their habits and routines, maybe their work. But change is there and it's present if you are really embracing life here in Italy. Don't try to avoid it. Don't say that you don't need to change, because I almost want to say, if you don't want to change, don't come to Italy. Stay in your country, living the life you've always lived, and then you can be happy. Because if you are not willing to change, I think you're going to have a miserable life here in Italy. Go with the flow, adapt to change and embrace it, embrace everything. And this is why I think you need to avoid saying, I don't need to change, because I think that you do. if you really want to enjoy life here. For me personally, the moment I started to just accept life here for how it is and not try to change the system or, like be very, I don't know, rigid in the way that I was thinking, like how I used to think back in the UK. The moment that I just accepted the way life was here was the moment that I changed many aspects of my character. And now I can say 7 years in, I feel fully settled here. And it is because that I'm not the same person that first arrived here. If I was that same girl back in 2018, I don't think I'd still be here. Like if I hadn't learnt to change and evolve over the years. So don't be afraid of change. Certainly don't say that you don't need to change, because I think change can be exciting. It's all in how you frame it, which is the beautiful way to round up these 5 expressions. Words are wands, right? Be very mindful of the language that you're using to talk about your experiences and the way that you frame situations. If you can frame situations to make you feel better, I promise you're going to have a much better experience and life here in Italy, and even be that little bit happier as a result. If you've enjoyed this video, this is the one that I think you should watch next, especially if you are in 2 minds about moving to this country. I will see you in the next video.